The results from the Canadian election are in, and the Conservatives lost. The Liberals won. They're going further left, and it's Donald Trump's fault, apparently. Now, many Trump-supporting personalities are saying, no way. Pierre Poilievre, he's the conservative guy, blew this. Because instead of acting like, I don't know, a sane, rational contrast to the far left, he simply went anti-Trump, creating a race between far left anti-Trump and nothing anti-Trump. Some are calling him Canadian Mitt Romney. And it is pretty sad because he was getting a lot of traction when he had that video where he was eating an apple and roasting the press. It's actually a pretty great video. A journalist is asking him, you're pulling a page out of Trump's book and he's eating an apple. It's like, what does that mean? And it's like, well, you're acting like Trump. What does acting like Trump mean? And it was pretty fun to watch. However, you've got Vox.com. You've even got Trump's own words. So, my friends, I'll put it this way. While the Conservatives have lost in Canada, I largely don't care. But the story that connects us to America is obviously it's our neighbor to the north. And they're obsessed with going far left and burning themselves to the ground. With all of the problems they've seen so far, well, so be it. You reap what you sow. But Trump himself has said he caused this drop-off. He said that before he came in, there was a 25-point conservative lead. And then after he started talking about it, now it's a close race. And of course, shortly after this interview, it's done. In fact, Poilievre did so poorly, he lost his own seat. Man, after about 20 years in office, and the leader of the Conservatives, he ain't even in the party anymore. Okay, he's in the party, but he ain't even in office anymore. So let me start by showing you the current results so you can understand that there's 323, I think the number is. I'm not big on Canada. I don't know the Canadian, what's going on up there. The Liberals won 168 seats. You need 172 for a majority. The Conservatives won 144. Bloc Québécois, those are the French, by the way, won 23. The NDP has 7. Green Party has 1. The funny thing is, the Conservatives can join with the Bloc Québécois, and I guess they still wouldn't get their majority, though. But it would be funny if they formed a conservative left coalition. I don't know. It's never going to happen. Now, the funny thing is, Pierre Poilievre, okay, if you don't know who this guy is, he was supposed to be the answer to Trudeau. He's not really a conservative. They call it the Conservative Party, but even the Conservatives in Canada are far left. He lost his own seat. Do they have the data? They just bring up the story. The leader of the Conservative Party was unseated as the parliamentary representative of his Ottawa district is in a stunning upset that could put his leadership of the party in question. Mr. Poilievre was first elected in 2004 as a member of Parliament representing Carleton, a largely rural district bordering parts of the Ottawa River. Bruce Fanjoy, the Liberal candidate who is a well-known community volunteer, but was initially considered a long shot, won the race. Okay. So Mark Carney, who is, like a central banker and super far left, got a trans kid and all that stuff, ends up winning. And the CBC says the election was upended by Trump. I love it. Here's the New York Times. New York Times. Mark Carney's Liberals win Canada's election, and they've got 4 takeaways for us. Not that I care all that much about what they think. He's promised to face up to Trump, and the far left, there you go. The results were close, indeed. The Conservatives made gains, but their leader lost his seat. That's crazy. Carney will have to make big decisions quickly. Now let's start here. How Trump lost Canada. And this story just from this morning from Vox.com. Trump's 51st state talk brought Canada's Liberals back from the dead and undermined a key American alliance. No, it didn't. Most of us don't care. I honestly don't even really. Okay, so here's how I do. Here's how I pick segments. If I care about a story, I will talk about it. And I would say that the Canadian story only crosses that line because of Trump's statement here in the Atlantic. So were it not for Trump saying he did this, then I would likely be talking about, I don't know, Russia. Do I have the story? Russia threatens NATO with nuclear strikes. Seems to be much more prescient. But anyway, here's the story from the Atlantic. Donald Trump gave an interview to Jeffrey Goldberg and a couple other people from the Atlantic, which is dumb. But, Trump likes to do these things. So go ahead. And we've got this right here. Talking about tariffs in Canada. And Trump says, look, it'd be easy for me to just not respond. When you say that, I could just go on. But I'm a very honest person. I know the election was rigged. Biden didn't get 80 million votes, and he didn't beat Barack Hussein Obama with the black vote in swing states. Only in the swing states. It's interesting. We have lots of other things. I mean, we have so much information from the 51 agents. That was so cooked, to the laptop from hell, to all those different things. And he goes on to say, and this is going somewhere. He says, I believe in the fact it was a bad 4 years for the country. The country was beaten up. We had a president that truly didn't have it. I left some very smart people from other countries today, and I have them all the time. And I think maybe one of the things I'm most successful with is foreign relations. To which Goldberg says, I think the Canadians would disagree. Indeed. He says, here's the problem I have with Canada. We're subsidizing them to the tune of $200 billion a year, and we don't need their gasoline. We don't need their oil. We don't need their lumber. We don't need their energy of any type. We don't need anything they have. I say it would make a great 51st state. I love other nations. I love Canada. I have great friends. Wayne Gretzky's a friend of mine. I have great friends. I said to Wayne, I'm going to give you a pass, Wayne. I don't want to ruin his reputation in Canada. I said, just pretend you don't know me, but they're great people. You know, they do 95% of their business with us. Remember, if they're a state, there's no tariffs. They have lower taxes. We have to guard them militarily. Goldberg says, you seriously want them to become a state? Trump said, I think it would be great. And Goldberg responds, a hell of a big Democratic state. Trump responds, a lot of people say that, but I'm okay with it if it has to be. Because I think, actually, until I came along, Goldberg interrupts. I'm no political genius, but I know which way they're going to vote. They have socialized medicine. Trump says, until I came along, remember, the conservative was leading by 25 points. Parker says it's true. Then I was disliked by enough of the Canadians that I've thrown the election into a close call, right? I don't even know if it's a close call, but the conservative, they didn't like Governor Trudeau too much. And I would call him Governor Trudeau, but he wasn't fond of that. That is, my friends, Donald Trump, the man himself, saying this in the interview, that Canada flipped because of him. Hey, well, there you go. So I'm seeing a lot of conservatives saying it's not Trump's fault, it's Poilievre's fault. And I will say, technically, the truth. Trump is saying actions he took resulted in this, but if Poilievre was a good candidate, he could have navigated this. To be fair, it's a very difficult position to be in. It basically rallied all of the liberals against anything Trump, against the right. But maybe that's what Trump wants. Have y'all considered that? To all the conservatives out there saying, no, it's not Trump's fault, it's Poilievre's fault. Have you considered maybe Trump knew he was tanking the Conservative Party, and that's what he wanted? You might ask, well, Tim, why would Trump want the far left to win in Canada? Well, I will say you could make up 1,000,001 reasons. I'm just saying that Trump knew what he was doing. He said it in an interview, because of me and the things he was doing, it resulted in this. He said, because I've thrown the race, because they hate me so much. That doesn't mean Trump intentionally did it. It means that he knew what he was doing had an impact. Then he posted on Truth Social and a support for the Conservative Party when he knew that was rallying the far left. So I personally think Trump was well aware. He was cognizant of the fact that he was hurting the conservatives. But again, have you considered that maybe that's what Trump wanted to happen? Now, at Vox, they say how Trump lost Canada. And they go to mention that liberals pulled off one of the greatest upsets in modern history, blah, blah, blah. Trump has single-handedly created the greatest surge of nationalist anti-Americanism in Canadian history, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of reasons why Trump may actually want them to win. I know a lot of people don't want to accept it. They want to act like it's Poilievre's fault purely. Viva Fry says, I took a lot of ish for the criticism I gave to Poilievre. There was no vote splitting with the PPC. Pierre did exactly what he said he shouldn't do in his interview with Peterson. He compromised his values to move more to the center, taking the vote of his base for granted. Pierre alone lost this election. Canada will suffer as a result of the cowardice of the so-called opposition leaders of Canada. I apologize for nothing. His campaign should have listened to me from day one of my constructive criticism, which ironically started 4 years ago. Now, I'll give him that. Poilievre could have won if he was a good candidate, hands down. And it did feel like he was trying to back off of Trump. He was criticizing Trump, and I don't see how that's gonna help you out. I don't know if I have this. Here we go. At Offman on X says, 100-word summary on why Pierre lost. The Trump factor in the Canadian election had nothing to do with tariffs or 51st state. It's American contrarianism. It's Canadian left-wing hatred of Trump and the right-wingism he represents. Poilievre also does a terrible emulation of Trump, which exudes rudeness and abrasiveness instead of charm and charisma. That, and also the fact that Pierre's 2024 supermajority was precipitated by 40% of CPC voters being motivated by anti-incumbency bias towards Trudeau. Even in Pierre's best supermajority polls, the combined left-wing vote, NDP Liberal, was still neck and neck with CPC support level. We lost because Pierre isn't charming. He fails to sufficiently exhort the right, and Canadians en masse are left-wing Tories. Carney was the perfect, credentialed, charismatic, trustworthy, paternal figure to replace the unfavorable Trudeau and seduce previous LPC voters that defected to the NDP, GPC, CPC. I will do a full right now, blah, blah, blah. To put it simply, Trudeau bowing out basically saved the day. And then Carney had the opportunity to rally the left. But maybe Trump wants an opposition in Canada. Maybe he wants them to burn themselves to the ground. Accelerationism? I'll put it this way. Maybe, and this is just speculation, like, I don't know. Maybe Trump's just a buffoon who is laughing because he doesn't care about Canada. Maybe he's thinking, like, I don't care what Canada does. It's funny that these people are so nuts. Possibly. He was just trolling. Or maybe he's thinking, when I negotiate with Canada, Poilievre is going to play hardball. He's going to capitulate. He's going to offer up conditions, and they're going to be hard to reject. When Poilievre gets in and says, Trump, let's negotiate these tariffs because we want to be cooperative, Trump's going to meet him halfway, and he's not going to be able to play hardball like he would with Carney. And I'll tell you why. If Trump negotiates with Carney and says, we're putting a big tariff, we're going to tariff your cars, Carney's going to be like, we oppose Trump no matter what he does. And he's going to be unreasonably negative on Trump. He will reject whatever Trump offers, even if it is middle of the road. Trump can then say to the American people, it's not our fault. Carney is shutting me down. Let me explain this just like one more time. I'm speculating. I have no idea. Maybe I'm crazy. This is a maybe what if. I think there's a strong probability, nay, the great majority probability that Donald Trump simply thought it was funny that Canada's in turmoil and he didn't care. But again, if Trump enters negotiations with Poilievre and Poilievre says, we are offering Trump a great deal, whatever he wants, please work with us. What does Trump say to the American people when they're like, why are you shutting down trade with Canada? We want their lumber. We want their oil. We want all of these things. Poilievre has offered you a compromise. He's working with you. It's going to be tough for Trump, right? Trump's going to have to then maintain this open trade with Canada because people are addicted to it. Now, Trump says we don't need it. You see, he said it. We don't need it. So imagine what happens. Carney wins, and Trump says, we're going to work with you and compromise. And Carney says, no compromise with Trump. I'm going to stand up to him. And Trump goes, okay. Trump turns around and says, hey, American people, I know you wanted to buy and ship materials from Canada. It's not my fault. The Canadian government is refusing to work with me on these issues. Guess we have to have massive tariffs on Canada now, and it's not my fault. Maybe. Or maybe Trump, as I said, isn't really playing chess. He really is just playing checkers, and he thought it was funny. He doesn't care. Canada is not that big a deal for us. I don't know for sure. What I can tell you is I do think it is silly to say that Trump played no role in this when Trump himself says he did. Sorry, Canada. You do it, Canada. You do whatever you want. I'll leave it there. We got more segments coming up for you throughout the day. Stay tuned. Follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast, and we will see you all then.